Hello and thank you for choosing Spartan Camera. In this video, we'll be going over the system menu in the camera settings. Clock. Set the time on the camera itself only when using auto, photos to email, or when using the camera as a regular trail camera. Send mode is off. Otherwise, use the camera time zone setting in the app or on the web portal to set the time. Arm camera, ghost and go live models only. Use this to arm the camera manually if you don't want to wait 3 minutes for the camera to arm itself, which it will do if there is no interaction with the keys for 3 minutes. Timestamp. This turns on or off the information strip at the bottom of each photo. The information strip displays the following information: flash power. Set the flash power to either low or high depending on how much light is needed. Low flash is suitable for close targets and uses less power than high flash. Note: the flash needs to bounce off a backdrop, example trees or shrubs in the background, or a wall, in order to illuminate the scene. Flash illumination varies depending on the distance to the subject and the backdrop. Format. Formats and erases the SD card in the camera. This should be done every time an SD card is inserted into the camera, especially if the SD card has been used in a different device. When using premium service, for some models you can also request to format the SD card from the status report page in the app or in the camera management on the website. The camera will take and send a photo with F on the info strip once the SD card format request is complete. This option is not available on all camera models, but make sure your camera's firmware is up to date in order to be able to use it if your camera supports it. Please follow articles for app updates for the latest development. Overwrite. This option is on by default. When the SD card is full, the camera will write new photos and videos over the oldest photos and videos on the card so that the camera will continue to work. Note: if the SD card is full and your camera seems to have quit taking or sending photos, but it is still sending status reports, try formatting the SD card. If your camera supports requesting format from the app or website, this may fix the problem and keep you from having to make a trip to the camera to format the SD card manually. Default. Resets the camera to manufacturer's default settings. The default settings differ depending on the camera model and firmware version. Most models will reset to send via premium, and previously entered data, such as recipients, will be deleted. When defaulting your camera, please make sure to follow these steps. 1. Reset the camera to defaults. 2. Turn the camera off and back on. 3. Make sure that the send mode and send via are set in the way that you want them. Information. Displays the model of the firmware, the camera's IMEI or MEID, the date or version of the camera firmware currently on the camera, and the MCU version, which is also part of the firmware. You can use this information to make sure that the camera's IMEI matches the IMEI printed on the sticker inside the camera. You can also confirm that the camera firmware is up to date and the firmware that's installed is for the correct model. Password. This option is only available in the camera's menu. It allows you to set a password for the camera. Every time the camera is turned to setup or on, the camera will require that you enter the password. Note: there is no way to recover the password if you forget it. If you don't remember setting the password, then the password menu might have gotten turned on by accident without setting a password. Try entering all zeros. If that does not work, you will have to get an RMA from Spartan Camera so that you can return the camera to us, along with proof of purchase so that we can reset the password. In order to prevent a thief from sending a stolen camera to be reset, we will require proof of purchase. Beep. This setting controls whether the camera beeps when you press any of the camera's buttons. You can turn it on or off here. FW Update. This is used to update the camera's firmware manually. In order to do this, you must have downloaded the correct firmware file from our website and copied it to an empty SD card. When you choose this option, the camera will check the SD card for a firmware file to use to update the camera. If there is a firmware file on the SD card, the camera will update and then restart. If there is no firmware file found on the SD card, either you didn't copy one to the SD card or you copied a file with the wrong name, you will see the message, "No file found." You can find the firmware files to update your camera's firmware manually by going to my.spartancamera.com. Support, Firmware and Software, Download page, or by clicking the link in the description. If you are using premium service, you can request an OTA, over-the-air firmware update. On the app, there will be an orange update button on the status report page if your camera's firmware is not current. On the website, log in, then click Camera Management, Cameras menu, and Firmware Update. LED indicator. Turns on or off the LED indicator on the front of the camera that blinks while the camera is in setup mode to let you know that the motion sensor is active, or when set to on mode for the first few seconds to let you know that the camera is getting ready to take a photo. Debug Switch. The Debug Switch is available on 4G models with the most current firmware updates. When this is off, the camera creates a .text file log on the SD card whenever the camera encounters an error. When turned on, the camera creates a log for everything it does. This log information is very useful to the developers when trying to identify and fix issues with the camera. Save log. This is also used to manually save the log from the time your camera was turned on to setup. There are other videos that explain the other menus in the Spartan camera settings, so please check out those videos as well. For more tips and tricks on setting up and getting the best performance out of your cameras, check out our other guides.